How's it going, Pastor Angie? Coming at you with another thought of the week. One of my big downfalls in life, and it's really difficult, especially as a youth pastor, is I struggle musically. I remember when I was interviewing, and I told the search committee and the elders they were interviewing me, and I said, yeah, I will do whatever you need. I will volunteer in whatever department you have. I will organize the music. I will pick music. I can even make the PowerPoint. I just refuse to actually lead worship because I cannot sing. I cannot play an instrument. I can't do anything like that. So, about the point of my involvement in the music team was all the behind the scenes stuff. you know. So that's my thought of the week is the idea that God calls us for worship. When we think of worship, I think the biggest thing that we think of is music and singing. We tend to start our services with worship. We raise our voices, whether it's a nice, easy Chris Tomlin worship song or it's some holy, holy, holy out of a hymnal. God does not really care, believe it or not. What he cares about is that we're worshiping him. So we tend to view worship as music. So my question is, and my thought of the week, is what about people like me that can't sing, doesn't like to sing, and kind of views worship as I guess the only way I'm supposed to worship is singing. Our church doesn't really do any other form of worship. One of the big things that I do during music time, I like to sing, but I know I'm not good at it. And so that makes me super self-conscious. But I still worship God. I still sing in my head, mutter it under my breath. Now especially with the whole COVID thing, that when we're singing, we actually, the social distancing thing needs to be further than just 6 feet because you're actually able to projectile the germs or whatever they are. But the thing is worship is so much more than just singing. Worship is a feeling and not just a feeling, so much more than just a feeling. It's a desire to praise God. It's a desire to lift him up, a desire to bring him honor. And there's so many ways that we're able to do that. It's not just singing. Any way that we bring honor to God is worship. So, what does that mean? We worship God when we volunteer at church. We worship God when we're donating our time, our energy, our money. That's all considered worship. When we are pouring out some of ourselves to him. That's what worship is. We're sacrificing some of us for him. When we think of worship, I think one of the main reasons we worship God in our congregations through singing is it's the easiest way to do it. It's one of those ways that it kind of emotionally and mentally prepares us for being closer to God and having that experience and being open to learning. Worship is one of those things that unfortunately divides our churches. Worship is one of those things that drives such an edge and a dividing spike in between members of a congregation. Because we allow our pride to take over. We allow this lie that God only likes music out of the hymnal, or God only likes worship music with the soft guitars and the fog machines. And for whatever reason, that is what causes this massive division amongst our church. It's one of the biggest ways that Satan is able to divide and destroy God's people is through worship. We have a difference of opinion on what worship looks like. But if we go back to understanding what worship is, we can understand and we'll know and learn that there's so many different ways that we can worship and that ultimately unites us as believers under the leadership of Jesus Christ. So whether you're into worshiping God musically, I'm so grateful for all you worship leaders out there. I'm so grateful for all of you out there that have some sort of musical talent, because I don't got it. Worship is those of you that are willing to serve in children's ministry, to worship God through putting on the church potluck, worshiping God through giving your time and energy to grow God's church. Worship is so, so important. It's also important in our prayer life, believe it or not. Ask yourself that question. How do you open up your prayer when we're praying to Jesus Christ? Are we doing so with worship and praise and honor? Are we honoring Jesus Christ for the King that he is? For sacrificing his body for us so we have an opportunity to meet him someday in heaven? Are we worshiping God because we love him? Because we're obedient? Now, that's the thing that's like the bottom of the list of why we should worship, is because it's out of obedience. We should worship God because we have this irresistible desire to honor and worship God, to show our love and affection to Jesus Christ, to bring him all the honor, glory, and praise that we have inside of us. It's so easy to worship things of this world, these distractions. But yet, we struggle to worship Jesus Christ. Something that I constantly have to work on in my life is that I'm honoring and worshiping Jesus Christ and not letting all these other distractions get in the way. So my thought of the week and challenge of the week: are you worshiping Jesus Christ? Are you honoring him in the way that we need to be honoring God? Have a good week.